Moving on with our colour correction tutorials, let's now look at how we can store multiple grades, either permanently or temporarily, so that we can, for example, store a grade and deploy it later on in our films, or just hold multiple versions of a grade so we can show our clients multiple options, or indeed just keep up with those clients that have a new idea every minute. So let's start this grading session as before, lasso everything, colour correctors, and jump into the first shot. So just so we have something to show, I'm just going to quickly make some random grades. Let's have a red one, and then on the next shot a green one, on the next shot a blue one. So we can see all those on our storyboard. So firstly, let's look how we can store those permanently. And we have a facility called FX Presets here. If I go to a particular shot and make it active, as we can see with a white frame around it, I can create a preset out of the settings that have made this shot. And the quickest way of doing that is simply going to FX Presets and create auto. And you can see what's happened is the details of those grades have been saved, along with a snapshot frame, and that's actually saved as a file in our project. Where those snapshots are saved are in here, and we can use this bar to navigate around to create new folders or grab presets from other projects. You'll also see a global presets. This is a common folder that you'll find in every project, and any preset that you put in there will be available to all projects. So when I created the preset, I used Create Auto, which is the fastest way of creating a preset, in that it simply creates a preset and doesn't bother me with any other questions. The difference between Create Auto and Create Normally, if I go to the green shot, on this one I'll press Create, and you can see it asks me for a name. So the difference between the two is simply whether it asks me for a name or not. And it's up to your preference whether you want to use naming or whether you are happy simply to rely on the thumbnail images that it creates. I can delete presets if I want to get rid of any. I can also maximize this so I can have a clearer view. If you're using two monitors, then this appears along the full width of the left monitor, so you have more space for them anyway. To deploy our grades that we've saved in presets, we can simply go to a shot and double click any of the saved presets to load up the grading controls. Strictly speaking, when we double click, we're using this function, replace, because as you can see we have a clip with a color corrector on top. So in effect what's happening is the color corrector that's sitting on our timeline is being replaced by the one that we've saved. Alternatively, we can single click on a preset to select it and click on top, in which case you can see that two color correctors have now been added. So the base shot looks like this. It goes through the first color corrector that makes it go green. The second color corrector makes it go red. The result is orange. And we can see on the timeline that we've added two color correctors. So I'll just delete the top one and go back in. We can also assign the presets temporarily or permanently to the numeric pad on the keyboard. Again, this tutorial is being done only with the mouse and keyboard. Realistically, if you're having a grading session, you should be using the tangent panels, in which case, of course, all the effects controls are from the panels themselves. So whereas I'm now going to assign these presets to numbers on the numeric pad on the keyboard, in fact, of course, you do the same on the tangent panels. So selecting a preset, so going to preset number 1, if I press define, you can see that we now get a number 1 in the top corner. So for the green one, we'll define it as 2, and for the blue one, we'll define it as 3. So now what I've done is I've permanently assigned the 1, 2 and 3 buttons on my numeric keypad to be the 3 presets that are here, which means I can now quickly go through my film from the keypad, choosing a number 1 grade, number 2 grade, and number 3 grade. Next shot, 3 grade, 2 grade, next shot, 2 grade, next shot, 1 grade, and so on. You'll see that we have a define and define temp. The difference is that I use define, which means that if I were to now quit Mistika and come back in at a later date to this project, those definitions would still be there. Alternatively, we can just define them temporarily, so they'll only last for as long as this Mistika session is live. We also have use and on top, which are the same as replace and on top, but whereas these take the selected preset, these are shortcuts to use something directly from the numbered stores. So that's one way of saving multiple grades for recall later. There's also another method we can use in the storyboard. So if I go to this shot, which we haven't graded yet, under bring, we have bring OK, which allows us to save a grade into that shot and give it a number, which we can then toggle through with bring older grades or newer grades, or access directly from one of the numbered stores. So for example, let's say I started to grade this, and that's my first suggestion to my client. So I could go bring OK. Now you'll notice down here I've now got a number 1, which is telling me that there's a grade stored. So now let's go to a second suggestion. So now I'd like to store this as well. Rather than go to bring OK, actually the shortcut to that is simply enter. So you can now see that the number down here is counted up. It's telling me there are 2 stored grades within this shot. So just for completeness, let's just do a third one. So now I have 3 stored grades. If I go to bring, I can bring the older grade or the newer grade. So I'm basically toggling up and down those grades that are stored within that frame. The shortcuts for this are control down and control up. Remember, we can reveal the shortcuts of any button in Mistika by pressing the right mouse button or equivalent pen button. And if I rather use those shortcut buttons, so control down and up, we can see what's happening here. It's now saying that we're showing grade 3 of 3 grades, or grade 2 or grade 1. So this is a quick and easy way of storing multiple options and comparing the differences. We can also directly recall a grade, so the 3rd grade for example. And we can also delete a grade. These saved grades are permanently attached, so if I were to quit Mistika and come back in, we'd still have these options. If I go to another shot and grab the grade from a shot that has multiple grades stored in it, it only grabs the grade that we're currently showing. It doesn't grab the entire store. It's possible to do that though if we want to. We could do it in the timeline by basically copying that grade effect to this shot, just making it the same duration, and now when we go back in we can see it has the stored grades as well. There's one other temporary store that's worth knowing about as well. Let's go to a new shot. Mistika effectively has 2 grading buffers, if you like, and when we go into a shot, both of those buffers get loaded up with where the shot is right now. And this bring effect here, bring modified, allows us to switch between those 2 buffers. At the moment it appears to be doing nothing. That's because it's switching between 2 identical buffers. So if I make a grade change and now go to bring, you can see that it's alternating between those 2 buffers because I've changed one of them and not the other. So this is quite a good way of measuring what change you've just made, or possibly going off in 2 directions because they're both fully live buffers, they're not freeze frames. In fact, they're not frame stores at all. They're effectively two versions of the metadata of the grade. So, for example, I might say, well, that's what this shot would look like if you went in a warm direction. Alternatively, that's what it would look like if you went in a cold direction. So now, using bring modified, we can compare those two. Bring original will bring back whatever the status was when you entered that shot, but only into the buffer that you are currently viewing. The other buffer is still there. Note that it's the action of making a shot active that loads up both buffers. So using the buffers is only relevant while you're grading in shot. If I went out of the shot and back in again, then the buffer is cleared. Or more to the point, both buffers load up the shot that we went in with. So for example, if we went to here, we can see that both buffers are showing the green grade. So these buffers are great for being able to see our progress as we're making small tweaks, or to look at a couple of alternatives. But they are only designed for what you're grading now as opposed to permanent stores. So between the buffers and the multiple stores per shot, the FX presets and the ability to assign grades to numbers on the keyboard or on the tangent panels, Mistika gives us plenty of options of how we want to store or park or temporarily hold different grades. In fact, we can also use the timeline for something similar too. If we look at this shot, I'll just switch on my record monitor so we can see it on the tutorial. At the moment it's on my live video output. We can see that we have a green shot here. If I wanted to see an alternative with a red shot, then as you can see on the timeline, as long as my cursor plays from the top down, at this point it's showing the red version, which is completely blocking the green one. So if I were to play from here, we would see the red cut. But if we were to play from here, we would see only the green cut. So the timeline as well gives us some options about how we could store different versions. You might also recall inside groups there was a function as well to multi-master. So inside this group are now those two grades. So this is a discrete output of a grade from this shot, and then this is something unrelated because there's no connection between those two shots. Which means that under the group layers control, I can choose here whether I'll take layer 1, which is the top one, the red one, or layer 2, which is the green one. So as you can see, there are many ways of parking, storing and holding grades in Mistika.